I just wanna make it clear with everyone watching, because I know like I have been streaming lately, and a lot of like not many people have like attended, which is fine. But I'm not going back to just streaming Jack stuff. I'm mostly doing this because I feel like playing Jack at the moment, and I don't really feel like doing much else on stream. But I felt like I needed to stream today. Um, I'm not getting back on like a super hard grind with any of these challenges. I'm not going to be streaming Jack regularly. I'm not going to be making Jack videos regularly, even though the next video I'm making is Jack. I do want to like branch out my content, be more diverse, but Jack is like my comfort food, so I just don't want to like set any like false expectations of what the content's going to be. But I am glad to have you all here. Fuck. I'm not like, I don't feel constrained by what people want from me or expect from me. I just, I don't want to set any false expectations of what my content's going to be, you know? I don't feel like boxed in by like obligation. I just feel like I boxed myself in because I did the same content for so long. That's what people expect. But like, I'm not super like fussed about it. I know what I gotta do. I've kind of been, because like I kind of want to do like just casual Jack stuff right now. I don't feel like dedicating myself to doing Jack stuff, but I kind of just want to talk about it, but like not in the same way that I've always been talking about it on stream. I feel like the conversations have really run dry. So I was thinking of busting out my old Jack 4 story and maybe talking about it on a video or on stream with you, Keith. I think it would be fun. I gotta refine a lot of it though. I'm kind of just tired of the same old like conversations about like, oh, Jack 4, or who should make it, or do you think it's gonna come out, or Jack 2 sucks, Jack 1 only good Jack game, stuff like that. I'm kind of over it. I want new Jack conversations. Like, no one talks about Jack 2 hero mode, so let's give it a shot. Oh, no worry, Todd. Fuck. Don't stress. It's like, I'm not like offended or like annoyed that people ask me this stuff. It's just, I've been streaming Jack for like a year now, like over a year, fairly consistently, and I've been in the community for like many years, like most of my life, and the conversations just get really samey, you know? Like, there are definitely some interesting ones to be had, but I kind of just feel like I repeat myself a lot. Honestly, I'm just gonna like speak about it now. I'm kind of done when it comes to wishing for a new Jack game. I'm kind of okay with not getting a new one. Bro, die. Oh my god. Especially when I was making that Klonoa video, my most recent video, it really put into perspective for me just how easy it is for like a return of a series to like get fucked up. So like, if you haven't seen the new video, it's fine, but basically there's a new Klonoa remake coming out of 1 and 2, and the first game is based on a previous remake, which is really, really bad. And it's just like, the original game was like a masterpiece on almost every front. So seeing it get like handled so poorly hurts my soul. And I just don't want to see something like that happen for Jack, you know? And it's so easy for that to happen. Like, if a Jack game was to be remade, there's so much like, so many things that could go wrong. So many like, so like if Jack 1 was to be remade, that'd be cool. I'd still like it. I'd play it. But it would kind of like, it'd feel like, I feel like what would happen is people would be ecstatic for a Jack 1 remake, and then a very vocal amount of the fan base would be like, okay, now don't remake Jack 2 and 3. Make a new one like the first game. And that'd just be erasing, like, you know, the game's real legacy, I think, you know? That's just like one thought I've had lately. And then like if a new game was to come out, like would it capture the same spirit of like the originals? Like would it deliver on like everything like that we've been thinking of? Would it even stay true to the already established formula, or would it give in to fan demand and make another like collectathon like the first game? Like there's just so much that could go wrong, and honestly when a game like returns and fuck, I'm running out of ammo. When a series like returns and it's been like a long time or whatever, you want it to get it right, you know? Because then it can like, if it's not, it can kind of soil the experience of the originals. So honestly, I'm happy with the Jak and Daxter legacy just being these 3 top-notch games, you know? And then a couple like side games that are kind of interesting to talk about. I don't know, that's my big take. If a new game or remake or whatever does get announced, that's pretty pog. I'll be happy. Just to have people talking about this series again, like, more than anything. But you know, I would be just as nitpicky and bitchy as I was in my Klonoa video, because I don't want them to fuck it up, you know? We'll know that we're living in the worst timeline based on how Jak 4 is handled. Yeah, but here's the thing also, like, I am totally open to them being weird as fuck with Jak 4 and doing something completely different. Because that's what Jak 2 was, you know? But I know that most of the fan base would be like, ew, no. Do it like they did on PS2. Like, don't stray away from that, you know? But it's like, I can understand why. But again, I like experimenting with stuff like this. I don't just want a safe return. Even though that is likely what it's going to be if it does return. It's going to be safe because it's a return of a forgotten series, you know? I would love a fucking weird-ass experimental Jak 4. That's why, like, I like the concept art for Jak 4 that Naughty Dog did, even if I probably wouldn't love the game if they went down that route, but there are aspects of it I do enjoy quite a lot. But, like, you know... Jak 2 first, though, since making a Jak 1 remake and then Jak 2 alternate would prematurely send a message. I mean, like, in a perfect world, that'd be cool, but, like, I don't see that happening, like, realistically. Like, the games are, like, already kind of niche. And I don't think they'd, you know, sell a bajillion copies to justify spending that much money on remaking these enormous games, you know? Too much fingers in pots these days. Video games are too big now. Too many people have a say. Too many people outside the studio working on it. Team's too big. Souls AAA games 2022 101. Yeah. That all depends on like the studio and how the game is approached. So here's my big brain theory of why we don't have a new Jak and Daxter, but we got new Ratchet and Clanks and a new Sly game. So Ratchet and Clank, obviously it's because Insomniac kept with the series and they wanted to keep making games. That's all well and good. They're the original developers, and they made the games they wanted to make. Every time I go to Torn. Now, my theory as to why Sly 4 was greenlit was because a studio approached Sony and said, hey, we want to make a Sly Cooper game. Sucker Punch wasn't really interested in making a new game, and like they were working on Infamous, and yeah, so Sony was like, okay, this pitch sounds interesting, we'll greenlight it. With Jak though, I think Sony is a bit more reluctant to just let a Naughty Dog property get outsourced to some other developer. I think Naughty Dog is such a high pedigree studio to Sony that they want to play it by Naughty Dog's rules, sort of thing. So Naughty Dog did try to make a Jak 4, so that's like another thing where it's like, clearly like a new Jak game isn't exactly something Naughty Dog wants, because they already did try. So even if a studio was to approach Sony with a pitch for a new Jak game, I'm not sure it would be greenlit. Because I think Sony would want Naughty Dog's blessing first and foremost, even though Sony does own the IP and they can do whatever they want with it. Yeah, that's my theory at least. I mean, Sony did greenlit the Jak movie, but Naughty Dog is apparently working with them on that. So, and that's something different, you know, that's a movie. Most casual fans just want Jak 1 again, let's be real. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Which is like a very, very vocal part of the general audience. Especially people who like, you know, they like Jak 1 because it plays like a lot of other platformers, but they're not into Jak 2 and 3 because like they're not huge fans of the series, you know. something experimental that might not work is better than relying on nostalgia. That's the thing though, it's like, if it is going to come back, it's going to be based on nostalgia. Then we'll realize The Last of Us was a money printing machine. And Jack, no, that's not it. That's not it at all. Shit, I didn't mean to do that. When they were making the concept up and like approaching a new Jak game, they were only trying a new Jak game because it was a small team of like 3 people or whatever. And the higher ups of Sony just like said, hey, try making a new Jak and Daxter. And they tried, they didn't like where they were going with it because they had like, were having cool ideas for a story they wanted to tell, but then they brought it back to reality. It's like, hold on a sec, is this actually Jak and Daxter? And so when they went to their higher ups and said, hey, do we have to do Jak? They said, no, we just gave you Jak because we thought it would be a good starting point, something you're already familiar with. And the ideas they were actually passionate about turned into The Last of Us. It's not that they're like, oh, this Jak 4 project, it seems real risky. Let's just do this this safe game that's going to print money or whatever. That's not what it is at all. I have a lot of respect for the artists and storytellers at Naughty Dog, because video games are an art and storytelling in them is an art. And people like Neil Druckmann very clearly passionate about their art form. They didn't want to just like be like have a cynical Jak and Daxter game that just banked on people's nostalgia, you know? Considering some Jak 4 fan pitches you see out there, you're right about comeback relying on nostalgia, which is unfortunate. I've heard some decent ones, purely from a fan perspective. When looking at a lot of them, like realistically, like if this game were to actually be made, it'd probably be a disaster. And again, it would feel really safe because like it's banking on like already being a fan instead of like trying to create something new and artistically interesting. I said this before, but I want to see them make a fantasy game after seeing the concept art. Like, comment that looked awesome, even if it wasn't really Jak. Yeah, I agree. Like, I kind of just want Naughty Dog to be like experimental again. Like, I do really respect like the stuff they have done post Jak. It's definitely commendable work, but on a personal level, I much prefer big ideas and cool ideas. Like, don't get me wrong, characters-driven stuff is good. It's not that I don't like stuff like that, but what I prefer is like cool, experimental, creative stuff. Maybe a game set between Jak and Daxter's ending and Jak 2's beginning. See, that's an idea literally every Jak fan has had. I was actually working on a fan game just like that at one point. I don't think it'd work as a real game because A, you need to already be familiar with the Jak lore and the storyline for it to make any sense. And also, if you're playing as Jak and Daxter during that time, what do you actually do? Because the only thing that happens between that time is they transport the stuff to the village. That's it. The idea that our fan game had was that you play as Ma after Jak and the gang go through the portal. And you play as Ma to close, like you're on a mission to close the portal and start building Haven. That's a cool idea, I think. It has a lot of potential. But as a real game, no, it wouldn't work. Didn't someone in the Discord make a video about that in Open Goal? Oh yeah, Cherry Patty, I think it is. Yeah, basically said like with Open Goal, like we can make our own Jak game. And I posed the idea of like, I basically like gave my pitch of like what our fan game was. It'd be interesting to actually pull off in Open Goal. I think it'd be pretty fucking cool. But not as a real game. I think, see, this is the thing about video games, like with other art forms like comics or shows or movies or whatever, fans can make like their own versions of a lot of those stories, or even just like make like write fan fictions or whatever. But with video game, and like they serve like the same sort of function. With video games though, you can fantasize about your own story all you want, and it's cool and fulfilling, but like when fantasizing about game mechanics and how fun it would be to play, there's no way to have that gratifying unless you actually fucking code it and make it yourself, which sucks. Which is why I'm so excited for Open Goal, because they're gonna try and make it like really accessible to actually mod, and we can have our own fan content, so we don't need a new game. You know, that's gonna be fucking heaps cool. I would probably prefer just a full-blown reimagining of the series. To me, the Woven characters always what hooked me. Yeah, but like that kind of implies like starting from Jak 1's world and characters. It would kind of unintentionally like erase Jak 2 and like the need for it if people really love the remake of the first game or the reimagining of the series. And people would like be so against going in the direction of Jak 2 again. What about a game taking place between Jak 2 and 3? Again, it would require already having knowledge of the established series lore and story, and like for what would that game even be? Like, you just get to experience the political fallout firsthand? Like, how would that play? Going to a lot of board meetings? I don't know. Yeah, what if they just remade the whole trilogy so people don't have a choice? Yeah, but like the thing is, that's a lot of fucking money. Like, these games already cost millions of dollars back in the day. Can you imagine trying to remake all 3 of them in a single $70 package on modern hardware for like a niche audience that doesn't really exist anymore? No, it's not realistic. I prefer 2 and 3, but I hate the idea of leaving 1 behind. This is the thing, like, this trilogy as a whole is extremely interesting and very unique. But it's like, what really is even the point of remaking them if you're not going to do the whole lot? You know? But like, doing the whole lot is a lot of money. It's not going to happen. I also wouldn't mind a soft reboot-esque approach. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just happy with these games already existing as is. I don't need anything new, to be honest. Because anything new that does come has got to live up to these games' legacy, and it's like... that's a tall order to fill, and I'm just going to be more upset than anything, I think. So... and it's not like a matter of me like having unrealistic expectations or whatever. It's a matter of me like... having these already incredible games, and it's like, if you're trying to replace them with remakes or a reboot or whatever, you've got to try and like top what came before, or at least be as good. That's a tall order to fill, especially since these games are not easy, like, are not cheap to make. So remaking them is a very, very expensive endeavor. And if it's a reboot, I'd want it to have like the same design philosophy as the originals and try and push the hardware and be like incredible showcases for technology and stuff. Otherwise, what's really the point? You're just making another PS2 game. Which is sick. I love PS2 games. Modern PS2 games like Kingdom Hearts 3 is really cool. But it's kind of like Jak was like partly defined by its technological prowess. So again, like, approaching this series again, like, it's very easy to like miss the point of a lot of what it was trying to achieve and accomplish. So the question of like, what is the point of bringing it back comes up a lot. This series has any chance of coming back, at least IMO. I think they'll reboot it. Seems to be the strategy for providing. Yeah. So like, this is all like my prescriptive statements, like, what is the point? They're probably going to miss the point. That's all like my opinion and what I think is going to happen. Realistically, if it does come back, it'll be something safe, like a remake of the first game or a reboot that fails to capture the charm of like the entire series. They'll probably just pick the one tone and stick with it. And not everyone's going to be happy. There's going to be a lot of unhappy fans, and that's just the inevitability, because this series was always really divisive. So these kinds of remakes enhance the original and build upon it rather than tearing it down by the seams. Yeah, I don't know. Not always. It depends what kind of remake it's trying to be. If it's trying to be like a one-to-one, I'd argue like there's no real point, because these games hold up extremely well. If it's trying to be something that like takes the original as like inspiration and builds upon it from that, it runs the risk of missing the point of what the original was trying to do in the first place, or not living up to what the original actually achieved and do it a bit more safe. Like, can you imagine them trying to like, them making a modern Jak 2, and they've got the hub world, they've got the guns and everything, but they don't include the hoverboard because like skating physics are really fucking complex. Like, it's ridiculous the fact they even included it in the first place. I can imagine them just cutting it entirely from like a remake of Jak 2 or like a reboot or whatever, because like that's a lot of money. That's really hard to do, and like most people aren't going to notice because most people didn't play Jak 2, and most people playing it would be new to the series. So that's also the thing about like remakes and reboots and stuff. Like, it's mostly made for newcomers, and if it's not as good as the original, well, then you've got to like educate these newcomers, like, okay, don't worry, this remake or whatever may suck, but check out the original, it was really good. I don't want to have to like educate people that the originals were really good because a remake comes out and it sucks, you know? That's the duty I felt when making that Klonoa video. It's like, man, this remake looks like crap. I've got to make sure people get the proper experience for this story, you know? I have said before, imagine a modern version of Jak on PS5 or PC or something, or those kinds of graphics game. Yeah, that's a thing. I'd want it to try and be a big, what's the word? Ambitious. I want it to be big and ambitious with its goals. But I feel like if a new game was to come out, it'd just be like a glorified PS2 game again, which isn't bad. PS2 games rule, but yeah. I think new games holding up to the OGs is an unrealistic expectation, which is stupid. It shouldn't be an unrealistic expectation. If you're making a series or like a sequel or a follow-up to an already established series or game, it should not be unrealistic to expect it to surpass what already came before, you know? Sequels are like usually meant to be better, you know? Not calling out you specifically, Martian, but this was a big thing about Kingdom Hearts 3 when it came out. It's like, well, you can't expect it to be better than Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like, why? It's a sequel. It should be better. They should strive to make a better game than what came before. The jetboard is essential for some missions though, so I don't think they would cut it. It's not like the skateboard. No, but like if it's a one-to-one remake, they'd have to put it in, right? My point was, if it was like a soft reboot or whatever, like just taking Jak 2 as an inspiration, like a jumping off point and expanding from there, I wouldn't be surprised if they just cut the jetboard and all of its missions entirely. Because that's a lot of fucking effort, you know? Especially like in a modern game where physics are a lot more complex, and yeah, I could easily see them cutting it. I was kind of the same when the Jak ports came out on PS4. I wanted people to know that the games don't actually perform like that originally. Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's why it's always hard recommending these games to new people. It's like, well, you could play it on PS4, the most accessible place to play it, but it sucks. If they did do a remake or a reboot, I don't think it would be this. I don't think it would have to be the entire trilogy all at once, and focusing on enhancing one game would be best, seeing how complex these games are in terms of mechanics. Yeah, I know, but my point is, realistically, that's not going to happen, because, like, making 3 separate games, only one of which is probably going to be really successful, because most people only really liked the first game, is going to be a huge waste of money on Sony's part, or whoever does it. So it's like, think of it like this. You could have, like, a bundle where, like, all 3 games are remade in a single package. That way, like, no one, like, they don't have a choice but to purchase 2 and 3. Or you could remake one game at a time, or just the first game. Realistically, you'd make about the same money back if you just remade the first game as you would if you remade all 3 and put it in a bundle. Because most people would just be buying it for Jak 1. Because that's the game everyone remembers and loves. Whereas Jak 2 and 3 are divisive as hell. It definitely has a lot of fans, but it's Jak 1 that people love. Don't know if it's just that I haven't been in the community as much, or I don't talk about it as much as it'd appear, or if I'm just like that, but these conversations still interest me, to be honest. Yeah, they can be. It's just like, upon reflection, I think I'm only having fun talking about this right now, because these are things I've only thought about recently, and kind of changed my opinion on. Like, whereas before I was always like, I think Jak's gonna happen one day, we just gotta have hope, and it just needs to do this and this and this, and it'll be good. But now it's just like, I don't know, man, I don't really care anymore. These games are already really good. I think what really turned me around on it is like the idea of like, I can play more than just these games. And that's cool. I don't need to just play the one series over and over and over again. The idea that someone could dislike Jak 2 is appalling to me, honestly. Well, the idea that anyone can dislike anything is like normal. Nothing's perfect, least of which Jak 2. And different things appeal to different people. I will say this game gets a lot of undeserved hate based on preconceived notions of what it should have been and false information, in all honesty. But I think it's a wicked game. Kind of talk about this every time. Yeah, this is exactly what I said before starting this whole conversation. I don't want to talk about Jak 4 or the future of Jak anymore. And what do? 30 minutes of just talking about Jak 4. It's fine. I actually quite enjoy this conversation because I haven't talked about this stuff before. This is all like new opinions for me. But this is kind of why I stopped wanting to talk about Jak. It's kind of just all the same stuff. Isn't the world kind of dry at this point? Not much. Yeah, exactly. That's why I haven't really been wanting to play or talk about Jak lately. Kind of just over it. Could talk about lore theories or funny glitches or something. I don't know. I've been in this community for so many years. And I'm just kind of exhausted, in all honesty. The thing about the series is wasted potential makes me sad. And I just prefer not to dwell on it. Yeah, that's fun. That's fair enough. Me too. It makes me real sad thinking about Jak 3 a lot of the time. Which is why I think fan content is the way to go, to be honest. And open goal is that avenue. I think it's way cooler because it's free. It's because it's community driven. There's no like risk of like disappointing shareholders or whatever if it underperforms because it's all free and fan made. And you can do whatever the fuck you want with it.